Hi everybody, welcome back to Obscura Undead. I'm Mouse.
And I'm Azzy.
We are your weekly roundup of band news, tour news, and music news. First up today, we look at the VR Sex brand new music video.
And single.
The song is called Sacred Limousine. It's up on YouTube now, just posted last week, and we took a look at it, and it's very interesting.
It's very VHS, as we've come to expect from Drab Majesty and VR Sex. So, no surprise there. We still don't really know what to make of it.
This comes from the album called Human Traffic Jam that's due out May
10th.
May 10th. So very soon it's going to come out. If you watch the video, of course, like we said, very retro. It looks like it came from a VHS. You have Andrew Klinko
Noel
in there.
Scum in this project.
Oh, sorry. Noel Scum. Looking very Andrew Eldridge. He's got his cowboy hat and sunglasses and singing all mysteriously in the background and also hiding behind some bushes to look at a prostitute.
It's not just some bushes. It's a fern in the same room, just like, I think it's like a hibiscus or some crap.
Or a
like
palm
that.
Tree or something.
And just hiding back behind there like,
So while
smoking a cigarette.
While it's a very amusing video, it seems to us that this is propelling the concept of VR sex, going into an environment where you don't have an identity, or the person that you're with doesn't have an identity, and you could get away with anything essentially, or explore your wild desires. So you kind of see that happening in the video, and they have a lady who's, I guess she might be a woman of the night. And
I think she definitely is a woman of the night.
There's a couple women of the night, and they all have really creepy faceless man masks on. So I think that's furthering that idea of you don't know who you're with, and you're expanding your universe with a complete stranger.
And they are very, very like unsettling. But masks typically are, but the women blink and it doesn't seem to be part of the mask, and it seems perfectly smooth, and just freaked me out a little bit.
Really creepy.
Yeah.
So go check it out on YouTube.
Yep. We don't have any other music videos to talk about this week, unfortunately, but we do have some vinyl news to talk about.
Yes.
So Fabrica Records, which you may know because they have releases from bands like She Passed Away, Cellophane, Lebanon, Hanover in their catalog. They just put out some re-releases of Lebanon Hanover's Let Them Be Alien in, what was it?
Blue and black
yellow
vinyl.
No, blue and yellow vinyl.
Oh.
Yeah, and they put out a release of Cellophane's Sto Scotati in red and black vinyl, so you can pick it up in red or black. So that's, oh, and the Cellophane one has a really neat recover too. It's not the original cover. It's like a set of, I assume it's Joanna's
It
eyes.
has to be her eyes.
Yeah, and it's very Susie, but also super glam, and I like the new cover. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
Yep. So go check it out. You can find it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, I hope that they do more of these re-releases. I really love Fabrica Records. The record label was founded by the folks from Cellophane, and it's where Lebanon Hanover got their start. Like, they're a great record label to watch too if you want to follow, just new and up and coming bands.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff.
Yeah. What else do we have coming up?
We do have Minuet Machine's album is coming up very soon, so we'll be able to do a review for that in a couple of weeks.
Right, and that is on Synth Religion, which is another artist-started record label. That one was started by Helenda Thore of Minuet Machine and Hante. Mm-hmm. Some other really cool news from this week is, if you are familiar with Wayne Hussey from The Mission, which I can't imagine like anyone who's watching this that isn't, he is putting out a memoir in September called Salad Daze, like Daze, but salad. And it's his story of his personal life and music career leading up to and through The Mission. He had a fun statement on his Facebook page talking about Salad Daze, where he explains why he wrote it, and he said, "I'd recorded 7 albums in 8 years, and by the time we'd finished the last Mission album in 2016, I felt creatively exhausted and needed to do something else for a while. I've been approached about writing an autobiography, but always felt I'd rather make music than write a book. With my 60th birthday fast approaching, it just felt like the right time to sit down and recall my life. It's a strange thing writing about yourself. There's a certain conceit involved that your life warrants recording and might be of interest to someone else, and it took me a while to come to terms with that premise. But once I did, I thoroughly enjoyed the process. I can't believe you would think that someone wouldn't want to hear about his life. He's Wayne Hussey. Come on.
I can't wait to read it. I think that would be awesome.
I won't lie. I kind of hope he writes about some of that tea with Andrew Elric. That would be great.
That's all we're waiting for.
Yes, just this goth drama. Plus, like, Wayne Hussey's cool. He hasn't disowned the goths. He's pretty on board with us.
He loves us.
He loves us, and I love any like artist who is there who isn't just like fuck those goths.
Yeah.
So big fan.
There's some bonus content. Each chapter features a specially curated playlist. You can stream them on Spotify, or you can go to the YouTube playlist, and we'll have that information down in the description.
Yeah, you don't need to wait for the book to come out to listen to it. So we'll link that below. Again, that comes out on September 5th. The pre-order is available now. You can get it on Amazon, and we'll link that below too.
In other news, featuring a classic band. So The Cure has finally announced an upcoming US show. We knew that they were going to have a couple because Robert Smith said so at the his inauguration into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But this one, it came from the Austin City Limits Festival page. So this is a massive music festival. It takes up it's the first 2 weekends in October in Austin. And they're on the lineup. They are featured on the flyer, but we don't know when they'll be playing because the schedule hasn't come out yet. And we don't know if they'll be playing both weekends and all days of the festival because it looks like it runs over 6 days. That's a lot of Cure.
Yeah. So we're waiting to hear more for their US tour. But one really cool thing is that The Cure will be live streaming the last show on the Australian leg of their upcoming tour, which is really cool.
That'll be really cool.
And I'll definitely be tuning into that. That'll be so cool to get to hear some of I'm assuming he's going to be playing new stuff off of his upcoming album, which is releasing around Halloween.
His 13-minute long songs.
With his 13-minute long songs. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what he has in store with that. And hopefully he'll be coming somewhere, near us, Florida-wise. That'd be cool. And we have some debut albums coming up from some bands you may or may not have heard of. So the first one is Pleasure Symbols. Their debut full-length album, Closer and Closer Apart, is coming out on May 24th on Avant Records. And the other one is one of Mouse's personal favorites, and she has gone to Orlando to see them at Uberbahn that a friend of ours puts on numerous times. You want to tell us about them?
Yeah, so Wingtips has an album coming out. They're signed to Artifact Records. So the new album is called Exposure Therapy, and it's due out on August 23rd. You can hear one track from it already called Death Pursuit, and it's on the Artifact Records compilation 2019. We did feature it a couple of weeks back on our companion video for our first video, so make sure you go check it out. And I love these guys. They were amazing live, so I'm really stoked for their new album.
They have a ton of music videos out too for previous singles.
Oh, a ton.
And they're all really cute. Like the one in the roller rink, the one in the library, the one at the house party. You really should go check them all out. We'll link them below. They're adorable. Time. They're fun. They're just adorable. I love them. They're cute. They're very cute. And the Artifact sampler, that is Name Your Price. So if you're into free 99, it's up there for you.
Free 99. I like giving a little bit of money, so it'll show up in my Bandcamp collection.
I do too.
Okay.
That's it for the news this week. That was a lot. A lot happened this week. We have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Oh, that reminds me. So some of you may have seen on Facebook that the supposed to have been upcoming Angels of Liberty comp release was supposed to release on April 30th, and that ended up getting canceled per the wishes of Scarlet Powers, who is the currently, alive member of that band. It was founded between Scarlet Powers and Vaux St. Clair, and Vaux passed a few years ago. Well, that has been canceled and refunded, and the label that they had created on their own, Secret Sin Records, is taking over putting out a lot of Angels of Liberty stuff. So they're going to put out a new album with previously unreleased material. I'm assuming it's stuff that Vaux and Scarlet were working on when Vaux passed, because they were working on an album. So it might be some of that, and that's pretty exciting.
And that'll be neat too if there's re-releases of their old stuff remastered.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get my hands on that.
Yeah, because they might release remasters of older material as well. So that, I think, came up in the last couple of days. So Secret Sin Records came back up in the last couple of days, and we're just watching it to find out more news. It would be really cool to hear some previously unreleased Angels of Liberty stuff. All right, so before we hop into the album reviews, we just wanted to let you know what we're looking forward to that's coming up in the next week. And it's one thing, because we've mentioned VR Sex too many times. You know when that's coming out. We are looking forward to Curse Mackey's debut album, his debut solo album, Instant Exorcism, out on Negative Gain Records on May 10th.
And Curse Mackey, we know from the local Tampa scene. He used to live here. He's in bands such as Thrill Kill Cult, Pigface, and many more. He's got a long, prolific career, so make sure to look him up.
Isn't he in Bauhaus?
He may also be familiar for another reason, which was just the other week, and the Orlando show for Bauhaus, where Peter Murphy was a no-show. Curse Mackey took the stage along with David J. and Rona from Sign, and they played for the audience and kept them very happy. So make sure that you follow Curse Mackey, and he is signed to Negative Gain Productions, and we're really looking forward to that album.
Mm-hmm. And if you're curious about what went down at the Bauhaus show, we have an article up on obscuraundead.com about it, with some really interesting video footage from the concert too of Curse singing, and I thought he did a fantastic job. Like, he killed it. He
was
really
like he was
killed
born to do it.
Born to do it. He really kind of stepped up. Excellent showman. Great job. So with that said, let us get into the album reviews. We have 5 this week. We are going to be talking about Sopor Aeternus' Death in Flamingos, Tomb of Love's A Permanent Reminder of Our Failure EP, Undertheskin, Negative, and we're going to be doing a double feature for Paralyzed Age. We're going to talk about Empire of the Vampire and their latest released Intermezzo, and kind of compare and contrast those two.
All right. Let's get started with the simple ones. No, I'm not going to say that.
With the simple ones. Not the simple ones, but bands that have less of a prolific history. So we're going to do Sopor Aeternus and Paralyzed Age last, because they just have a bigger back discography and more releases that we would like to talk about in comparison. So instead, we are going to start with Tomb of Love.
So Tomb of Love, their album is called A Permanent Reminder of Our Failure. You can get it on Bandcamp. It is an EP. How many tracks are on there?
5.
So Tomb of Love I really liked a lot. It did seem very death rocky, heavy with the guitar, and very high energy. I really loved that first track.
I would so totally disagree on it being death rocky. I think it's more Fields of the Nephilim second wave goth rock than anything.
And listen to her.
What's really interesting about this band is it is a duo from Brazil who they have done a lot of music with a lot of other projects, but all of those projects have been like doom metal and black metal. So this is their first stepping into the realm of post-punk goth rock. And I think they did a great job. You can definitely hear like influences, I think, from Fields of the Nephilim and Sisters of Mercy. But it's very clear that this band also really loves some of the more modern works, because I could swear I heard influences from like Rope Sect or Dr. Arthur Krauss.
I was having trouble placing the goth rock inspiration, but
yeah, I'm
once you said Fields of the Nephilim, I can kind of hear that, but it was still faster and more energetic.
It definitely was. Which I think might be a little bit of their metal influence.
And death rock is one of their tags, so I think they may have been going for that and may have just missed the mark. because, like you said, they're from a doom metal background.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is just their attempt at it.
Yeah, but they are also Brazil-based, and Brazil has a really thriving like death rock scene. Not Brazil, but just South America in general.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive. But that's a story for another day. Maybe one day we'll cover sort of the history of goth rock and death rock in South America. But I gotta say, I thought that the third and fourth track, both of those, all those pleasant nights, and How Fools Love, I thought that those two tracks were really catchy, especially All Those Pleasant Nights.
My favorite track was track 1, called Sealing Death. That's the one that caught me the most, and once I went through the album, I just found myself going back to the first track for re-listening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Another interesting fact about this album, too, is it is it's dedicated to a friend of theirs who chose to, leave the world at 16, I think. So
that's sad.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad album too.
Actually, I think it was a little older than 16.
Yeah, 26?
26.
26. I can't math, guys. I can't spell either, so. But it's a good album. It is pretty great for a band that just formed doing this kind of music back in January, so we look forward to hearing more from them.
All right. Next album, Undertheskin,
which is a band that you probably have heard of.
Their album has been out for a while. It's called Negative, and there's several tracks on that album. It is a full album. Some of the standout tracks that you may have heard already are Wave and Burn.
Which are the singles that led up to the album.
Those are the singles. So the singles came out in like 2016 and 2017, and then all of a sudden you have this album with all of those collected pre-released singles and some new tracks to make a full album.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this album. I just enjoy everything that Undertheskin has done. They had their debut album, I think, in 2016, and that was their self-titled album, and that one was really popular. It was number 1 on Bandcamp for a little while. Like, it's a great album, and I don't think that they disappointed with Negative, which is really cool. So this band is the solo project of, I don't speak Polish, and the band is Polish, and his name is Mariusz Lunewski. I'm very sorry.
Lazikowski.
Okay.
Lazikowski.
Whiskey.
But Mariusz.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a Z in there, isn't there?
I think, right?
My apologies. And I really did enjoy this album.
To me, it was very wave, post-punk.
Absolutely.
And great. A lot of stuff that comes out of Poland reminds me of that. So, like the Jacuzzi that we covered before. Oh, no, wait, they're from Turkey.
Belgrado is, well, they're not from Poland. I think they're technically from Spain, but the singer is Polish.
Definitely, you'll want to check it out. And do they have a label? I was just going to mention it, and then I forgot.
Alcara Records. But this album, it is really great. It has a lot of minimal instrumentation. It has very post-punk guitars. It has
smooth, melty vocals.
Minimal synths, and just the way it layers all of the instrumentation is really great. And it has really driving beats that I really enjoyed. So even when the vocals are a little slow or the other pieces of the melody are a little slow, the beat is still very driving, and it's really nice. I think my favorite track might have been No There. I also like Borderline. I also liked Wave and Burn.
I like Drown. I like Poison and Drown and Wave.
Yeah. I think it's really funny, though, that No There has a sample from the movie, what is it called? The House That Jack Built, which is about an artist and a serial killer who talks about how you can't see the true decay and death of the world until you look at like an image negative, and that's when the dark light comes through.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because that film came out last year to just really bad reviews because it's really violent. So I think now we know what the album's about.
All right.
Yeah, but I think that that's one of the best releases so far this year. I really loved it. With Sopor Aeternus. This is Sopor Aeternus' 16th album.
That is an impressive discography.
Yes, it is. Just 16. This came out on February 8th on, I think it was Apocalypse Records. Let me check my notes real quick. Apocalyptic Vision, which is a sub-label of Trisol, which is a big German record label. And I didn't like this album the first time I listened to it when it came out in February, because in all of the hyping and promoting for the album, Anna Varney had said Death and Flamingos is the totally unexpected, old school death rock album many longtime fans have probably been secretly hoping for 3 decades. And it didn't hit death rock for me. It hit... Anna Varney decided to do some composition with guitars and bring in a guitarist, a bassist, and a drummer.
Yes, and I do agree. And I think one of the things to remember is that the longtime fans of Sopor Aeternus. So you look at her albums from previously, and there's a certain type of sound to it. There's certain elements that are that make up the Sopor Aeternus sound. You know, you've got like your harpsichord and your chiming bells and
your glockenspiels
and your cellos and your violins and trumpets, and it's just like this fantasy, otherworldly magic. And we kind of expected that.
Yeah, like more neoclassical dark wave or
neoclassical
dark folk.
Definitely sounds like a Renaissance festival kind of thing sometimes.
And she has neo-medieval like albums too.
Absolutely. You know, tribal elements and all of that. So that's what Sopor Aeternus is known for. That's what the fans know about her going into this album. And so when they hear that there's going to be a death rock twist to this album, I suppose, we expect either the Sopor Aeternus sound or the death rock sound. And to me, it wasn't quite either of those. I will give it props for still bringing in some of those like chimes and tolling bells, but it wasn't as magical. I think once you have the guitar and the bass in there, it kind of brings it down to earth, and it sounds like a real band making the music. But I don't want to hear that when I'm listening to Sopor Aeternus. I want to feel like the magic.
It's interesting that you say down to earth, because I kind of felt that some of the like theremin in it gave it like a spooky B horror movie, sci-fi movie. Like,
oh my god, did you hear it? That like that high pitched like
yes.
I'm like, is this Plan 9 from outer space?
Yes, it totally felt like that in some places. Like it had that vibe, and I thought that I was like, okay, is this the death rock part? But it was definitely a horror aspect, which was interesting on it, which is not something that I expect from Anna Varney. I do expect like songs about nightmares and stuff, but more in sort of like this otherworldly instead of extraterrestrial, like horror kind of way.
And that was track 4. I think it was track 4, called Melancholia. It did have the tolling of bells and the chimes, and it had that horror themed high pitched keyboard. So it did sound like something like an old black and white horror movie. That was well done. One of the standout tracks for me was Kinder de Teufels.
That was a good one.
Yes, that was.
And that was the B-side. So one thing I just want to note before we start talking about specific tracks is that the album is divided very specifically into side A and side B. Each section is led in with a track called side A or side B. And so side A I thought was more like what we'd expect from Anna Varney and previous Sopor Aeternus. And I did feel as though there were more death rock vibes on side B with tracks like Charnel House, Moore's Ultima Radio, and Coffin Break.
And maybe that's what it was supposed to be. Maybe the side B, like a record or something, is supposed to be more death rock. But like I did have a problem with Coffin Break. I did like how it was thicker and meatier than expected, but that guitar seemed forced to me, because you have a guitar that bumps along with the vocal rhythm and it doesn't add anything. It's almost like it wasn't necessary to be there at all. So that was my take on it.
What was your favorite song off the album?
Probably the something about the boy that died.
I think that was one of the A-sides.
Yes, it was one of the A-sides. And you know, the guitar threw me off and everything, but then the guitar and the chimes together did a kind of elongated outro, and I thought that was really beautiful. It might have been track 3 or 5.
My favorite track was one of the B-sides, Moore's Ultima Radio. I liked what Anna Varney did with her vocals on that track. I really liked it a lot. Most of our friends that we've spoken with like Death Waltz, which I think was the single track for the album too. Yeah, but it's not a bad album. It just we liked it better on second review. It just the first listen that we gave to it back in February, it just
It caught us off guard because it wasn't what we expected.
Yeah.
But once you give it a break for a little bit and then go back into it, you know what to expect. It's a lovely album.
Mm-hmm. So don't think of it as death rock. Think of it as Annie gets a guitar.
And a band.
All right. So, as always, we would like to hear your input on anything that we've talked about this week. And we are going to enter our closing segments where we do have, because we're not doing weekly giveaways, we do have a giveaway winner for a digital copy of Drab Majesty's debut album, Careless. And that winner is, we don't have the hat because I'm wearing it and I don't want to take it off because my hair looks like junk.
So we used a random number generator.
Yeah. So we gave all of you numbers. We reduced you to that. We're sorry. And the winner is Jake Decay.
Yay!
What were his favorite albums, Mouse? Because the question we asked last
Drab
week.
Majesty was one of them.
Well, you can't favorite Drab Majesty Modern Mirror. It's not out yet.
No,
but
I know.
The question that we asked last week was, what is your favorite release so far this year?
Okay, he says, my favorite release of this year so far is likely either Syzygics or Hunt. And then he says, the new Drab album can't get here quickly enough. So hopefully he doesn't have a copy of Careless. But if not, this one comes with love.
Well, I do think that that On's Fierce is definitely a very solid album from this year.
I agree.
It's gorgeous.
So congratulations, Jay.
Jake Decay. Jay Decay. Hi. Sorry, Jay. We love you. The patch did look great on screen. Thanks for commenting that too. Oh god.
Okay.
We will send you a download code.
Are we done? Because I gotta go laugh.
We will send you a download code. Okay. The next album that we're giving away is Ritual Hell's Rendered Armor. We gave away a physical album last week. We are giving away a digital album this week. The burning question that we have for you is, what is your favorite food to listen to new music to?
Haha. Because we know you're eating while you're listening to new music, so
clearly. And if you happen to, subsist on a liquid diet, which we completely understand, I mean, guess what's in my cup? We would like to know about that too. Thank you.
Just describe it to us.
And just comment down below, and we will maybe use this hat. Maybe my hair will cooperate. Maybe it won't. Next week. So we'll see.
If you'd like to participate in our weekly giveaways, it's really easy. Just make sure you subscribe to our channel, Obscura Undead, and answer the question, which again is, what is your favorite food to eat while listening to new music? So let us know in the comments down below, and you might get picked.
And you might not, but since we're doing these weekly, you will have more chances. All right. So the very last thing we want to do is thank our lovely patrons on Patreon for helping us make these videos possible, and for just chatting with us on Discord, because we get lonely. So lonely. So a great big shout out to
Skullgirdle.
We love you.
Acid Bitter.
We love you.
Cadaver Kelly.
We love you.
I'm not sure how to say this, so I apologize. Dave Azosier
from Sweden.
We love you. Is that like the Azoic, the band The Azoic?
Or like Specimen's album, Azoic?
Yeah, it could be.
Which has some of my favorite tracks on it.
One shout out for D.
Or Dia. Dia.
Is it Dia?
It's Dia.
I have an idea.
To call her Dia?
Yeah.
We love you.
And last but not least, Mason Shiver.
We love you. And for those of our patrons who live locally, thanks for going and hanging out with us last Friday. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So if you would like to support the show, our Patreon is patreon.com/obscuraundead. And you can find the link in the show notes below. It really does help us out. Eventually, we are going to upgrade beyond one microphone. And
it helps us to buy music. It helps us support the artists.
Yeah. So thank you again. And that's it for this week. If you liked our video, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you never want to miss a show, we put out new content every week. Our uploads are looking like Saturdays. I think that's what we've stabilized on. And we also put out a companion mix with the highlights of everything that we talk about on this show. Just so you can get a sense of having to click around at a bunch of YouTube links, it's all right there for you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Check us out on other social media too. Facebook, Instagram, we're all Obscura Undead, across everything. All right, Bye. Good night.